Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, you're dealing with me. Just me, no one else. We are going to work on some stuff. So, first and foremost, oh, nice. Thank you for. Wait. Oh, no, the COC's 404. Oh, where did it go? That's not good. We should fix that. So the Party Corgi COC is 404, and we will go and figure out what's going on with that. Let me look at the. You know what? Why don't we just flip right over to some desktops here, and let's go figure out what's going on with the Party Corgi Discord. So let's see. Is it Party Corgi? Nope. Party Corgi. There it is. And where's the website? This one, I think. There's the website. Let's find. Oh no, did we like accidentally lose this in the. Here's the code of conduct. Okay, I don't know what happened. We need to get that back on the website, but for anybody who's looking for it, the code of conduct is here. Oh, it got moved. The URL change. Okay, so we need a redirect is what we need. So the code of conduct is up and live, but we need a redirect for it. But I bet we could build one of those. Let's go look real quick. I believe here's our redirect. So that should actually be working, and it appears that it is not. So we should go figure out what happened. Okay, well, that's a mystery that we should go and investigate, but it's also not what we were planning on doing today. What's up, everybody? How are you? Luke, your sub ran out. Well, I mean, you know, there are hacky ways that you can boop. I probably shouldn't show you all this, but I'm going to do it anyways. There's a chat command that apparently doesn't work anymore. Fun. We're having a great day here. Looks like my overlay is being weird. I've had internet issues all day, and I'm wondering if there's something like upstream or if it is something with and my just so many problems today with my my API is not working the way that I want it to. API schedule, it should be showing this, right? So there's that. But for some reason, it's not updating in the... Man, just got issues. Just got issues today, everybody. So I don't know why it's showing the wrong thing here. Let's, I'll tell you what, how about this? How about we do this today? Let's start, before I forget, by doing a quick shout out. We have Rachel with us today from White Coat Captioning. White Coat Captioning is always with us, doing live captioning for the episode. That is on the homepage at learnwithjason.dev. 6 months of Luke. Hey, I'll take many more than 6 months of Luke. And then the live captioning is made possible by our sponsors, Netlify, Fauna, Hasura, Auth0, all kicking in to make this show more accessible to more people. So make sure you go and check them out. These are all clickable on the homepage, so you can go and check those pages out. We're also, unfortunately, just hanging out with me today. So that's what we are up to. Hey, what's up, Michael? Yeah, so Pachi was scheduled for today. She needed to reschedule last minute. So we are still going to do that episode, but we're not going to be able to do it today. So today I called an audible. I'm doing some solo stuff. So thank you for your understanding there. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my stream. So now that we've done the things here where we've talked about the captioning, we've talked about the sponsors, let's go figure out why my serverless functions aren't doing what they're supposed to do. Because look at this API, right? So this API is showing me the right episode information. Local development of serverless functions on Netlify. Great, that is what we want. But for some reason, this overlay down at the bottom here is picking up cached data. So I need to go figure out why it's picking up cached data so that I can get it to stop it. So let's poke at the Learn with Jason repo, and I have my scenes up here. So this is what we're looking at now. It's a website, and the way that it gets data is through this hook that says use current episode, and that use current episode is hitting the Sanity API? Why doesn't it hit my API? Oh boy. Okay, you know what? I thought I was gonna have to come up with a project for today, but it looks like we had one handed to us by me writing bad code. What a great time, everybody! Great news. We've got broken production issues that we can fix as part of the stream today. Yes, excellent. So let's go. Yes, the compooper is misbehaving, but really it's not the compooper, it's me. I did something wrong.
What are you doing, computer? Why are you like this?
Oh, what a great turn of events. Okay, so we're gonna pull down everything here, make sure I've got all the latest bits, and then I'm going to open this up. And what I want to do today is I actually wanted to talk about how we can build serverless functions locally, because I feel like serverless functions are one of those things that they're really powerful. They can do a lot. There's a ton of potential with them, but getting started can be a little bit intimidating because it's an unfamiliar setup. Like if you've never used it before, it can be a little daunting to be like, well, where do I even start, right? So what I want to do is jump into these functions, and let's see. So this one is doing a use boop. That's not what I want. We don't want the boop. We want the current episode. And so I want my current episode to load from the Learn with Jason site. And so I don't know why this isn't doing what I want it to do. Like this shouldn't be cached, right? This should be pulling the date from today, but it's not. And if I like go and reload this, like maybe it's doing something it shouldn't. Refresh. Huh? That just looks bad. There it goes. And it's still pulling the wrong thing. So why? Why are you like this? So let's see if we can figure it out. I'm going to open up the Sanity API here. I'm going to see if I can get this over here. And then I'm going to just copy in my query. And my date time, let's prettify that. And my date needs to be, what's the format for a date? Is it going to show me? ISO 8601. So if I do like 2021-09, what's the date today? The 24th. And then I need a capital T to show that it's time. And then, oh boy, what's time in GMT, or no, UTC? 5:38, so we need it to be 5:30. So that would be 17:30 Z, right? Is that right? Let's find out. Nope, that's not it. Or maybe I just need to sort. Personalization. Does it need to be like earlier? So let's go with like 2. No? Did I do this wrong? Like, what am I? 09 is September. Oh, yeah. It helps if you know how dates work. Building a streaming data model with PyTorch. So these are all out of order. That's an issue. So we should, in addition to this, we should sort. Is there a sort option? Let's find out. Where limit offset? No. So I have to sort it myself, which I assume I'm doing down here. Sorting, okay. But does it have even the right data in it? Personalization, apps UIs, Twilio Quest, reactive state management, databases. So this one, now why is this one showing up as, this is the wrong date? Like it's edited in my Sanity instance. So let's, oh, wait a minute. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not edited. It should be hidden though. That's also where, let's see if I can get hidden on website. Is there a hidden in website? I have that setting somewhere. Is draft. Come on, hidden. Yeah, so I want it to be hidden is, or I guess we would want not true. Right? And then if I do that, we shouldn't see, we don't. That's the problem. Okay, so this is not serverless at all, but it is going to solve this particular problem. But you know what I'm going to do? You know what I might do instead, actually? Let's look at if we look at the schedule, this is my serverless functions. And because it's hidden, it skips. So let's refactor this to actually use our serverless function. So instead of doing this sorting like this, we can load the episode by getting the HTTPS, and then we'll get learn with json.dev/API/schedule. And then we can get we don't need any of this body. We can just do it as a get, in fact, so we can get rid of all this stuff, right? So that's gone, get it out of here. And then we can go even further here. Okay, go to the res JSON, and then what we'll get back is, I actually think what we get back is just episodes, right? And then we don't need to get that, so we could just return like episode 0 because they're already sorted. So this should get way easier. Episode 0. All right. And then we should get our episode.title, episode.slug.current. Is that right? Episode title, episode slug current, and guest name. Guest is here. Guest 0 name. Hey. All right. So that should actually solve this problem. So let's just give it a shot. What do you think? I'm going to run it locally. So we'll run Netlify Dev just to make sure that it's doing what I want. See a little bit behind the curtain here of how I just push directly to production in my site. Dates in JavaScript. I know. Okay. So this is running, and if I pull this over to the right browser, we can then go to, all right, so it's already doing what I want. Like we can see here that that's working, and if I go to like the monologue scene, okay, so this is pinned to a certain size, but that is what it needs to be. So that's good. That's good. We like it. We're happy. Let me get out of full screen mode. Let's close this browser and let's ship this thing. Let's fix the stream on the stream. We're gonna fix use the API instead of direct GraphQL call. Push into production. We'll fix it live, right? So then I'm gonna just watch this build. Hopefully it opens up in this browser. It, of course, did not. It opened up in the other browser. So let's bring this over. We can see this building. This should only take a second. Ship it. I like that. I like that alpaca. That's good. Okay, so that's live. So let's refresh the scene over here. And as if nothing was ever wrong, we've refactored that code and we're now using an API. Yeah. So Eco, this is all dynamic now, right? Like one of the problems that I have is that I spend a lot of time on the admin of this. And so I have help. I have Aiden helps me out with a lot of the scheduling stuff and getting things up on the site. But there's a lot of asset generation that has to happen. So if you look at like the site itself, there are these episode assets with the play button. And then if you go into one of the episodes itself and you like take it over to the Twitter thing and you go to automate some stuff, there's that. And then if you go to the schedule, There's this card as well that has to get generated. Right? So there's a lot of like pieces that have to get put in for each of these to be generated. And I don't want to have to do that every time. And I don't necessarily want anybody to have to do that because it's a template, right? So this uses the API data that's at /API/schedule, or there's also like /episodes. And this will get you the first 50-ish episodes or something. And then you can also, if you want, get an individual episode detail as well. So we can go to like episodes automating, or wait, no, it's episode. And that'll get you a singular episode. So there's definitely some options there, so that if you want to, and this is all like, it's CORS enabled, you can use it wherever. So this is actually, if you're trying to use an API for building, this can be a good tool. That's why I opened it up, is so that people who want to learn can use the Learn with Jason API as a source of like a free API with a lot of data. It's got images in it, and those are all CDN hosted. And so you can do a lot with it, right? So go wild, go do whatever you want, make some cool projects. And hey, if you use the API, let me know. But I love this. The Twitter cards are using my Cloudinary package. So, another fun thing that I did recently, this was to make my life easier, is, not the API part. Let's get rid of this. Check this out. I just built a thing where if you want to make a card, you can just go to poster.jpg on any episode, and it'll make that poster. So we can go in here and like, here's Moriel's episode. And if I just add /poster.jpg to the end, it makes a JPEG, right? Isn't that cool? Like, I love this. This makes me very happy. And then you can just save it as whatever you want. We'll put it in the downloads, and bada bing, bada boom. Oh no, it doesn't want to download. Don't you do that to me. So I got to figure out what happened there. That's too bad. But anyways, it's, hey, like I said, we're fixing it live. We're doing stuff in production. But my whole goal of making this stuff work is to just automate things, right? So the way that this works, if you want to see how it happens under the hood, this is the Learn with Jason repo, so you can go poke around in here. Yeah, Adrian, I'm not sure what happened there. I gotta go figure out why it's changing the file name, because that seems bad, but we will, we'll see what happens. So the way that works right now is I have a function. I have a lot of functions that are built to do a thing here. So we've got like the episode one, for example. It takes, hold on, why don't we show this locally? Because then we can mess with some stuff. So I'm going to move into, let's close down this one, open up this one. We'll open up learnwithjason.dev, pull everything down, make sure I'm using the right version of things. Here we go. Okay, all good. It looks like my package.json changed. I must have done something. Don't know what it was. So let's install. And this is running toast. I don't know if Chris Biscardi's on the chat, but shout out. So the URL of the APIs. Yeah, if you want the API, it's learnwithjason/API/episodes is one of them. You can do schedule is another. And then if you want to get a particular episode's details, you can add the episode slug. Go to episode/slug. So those will let you run. You can do quite a bit with that. Then, so we've got this install running here. Let's open this thing up. And inside, I have this folder full of functions. So one of the things is all of the commands in the chat actually run off of serverless functions. So if you like send an ahem, it runs off of this serverless function. So you send the command, it listens for any command to be fired, and then if there is a command that matches, like this one called ahem, it will run off this audio and this image for this many seconds. And then if there is a command that matches, like this one called ahem, it will run off this audio and this image for this many seconds. And so this is actually like kind of a fun thing. If you want to make a sound effect for the show, you can do it as a pull request. So one example of this is Brittany made, I think it was Jamstack. But like Jamstack. There it is. All right. So she made that and submitted it. And so now there's a sound effect for that. So if anybody wants to pull request in sound effects, this is the format. You can do it. But that's not what we wanted to look at. I want to look at, let's look at this like / poster and figure out what's going on with it. Because I think, how is it working? It should be here somewhere. Episodes, I think it's episode. And then.
Holy buckets, did that just work?
Yes. What listens for it? So what listens for it is a project.
You dirty hackers.
A project that I made called Socket Studio. And Socket Studio this is not a particularly, like, this is very much like, hey, did you build a project for yourself and then release it to the internet? But I have Socket Studio here. And this, I haven't really put anything into it yet, but the way that it works is it's got this kind of core server, and this is a WebSocket server. So it runs on a pretty straightforward, like, it's an Express server. It uses Apollo. It does subscriptions. And when it opens up, what it does is it listens for the Twitch API. So Twitch runs on IRC. And so I use something called tmi.js, which is like a wrapper around Twitch's notification layer. So when I listen, it looks for any connection. So it gets a chat client. This chat client goes into the Twitch API and uses a bot user, which is the Socket Studio. That's what replies in the chat when you see, like, when you use a command and you see Socket Studio put a message in. That's the bot that we're using here. It subscribes to my channel. It's actually configured that you can set up like any channel to work with it. And then when it does that, it listens for events. So if the ready state is open, it'll say that it's open, etc. When you create a chat bot, it will add a listener that says, where's the actual listener? Like, it does client on subscription, client on resub, on subgift, etc., etc. And each of those is an event that comes from the chat, and then we are able to use those to send off a message. So, for example, this one does a client on message. It figures out what the message is, and then if it's a command, it will send off the command. And to send the message, where is the actual bit that we parse the command? And when we parse the command, we are able to figure out what that command is. Where does it actually get pulls out what the emotes are? And there's a request that it makes at some point to like enhance that with the data from the serverless function that I'm not 100% sure where I put that, but it's in here somewhere. Are you in here? Chatbot commands. It's going to be in here. So get commands for channel. It does a request for all of the registered commands. I use Hasura to keep track of them. So they just get thrown into a database as like, this channel is registered this command. And that's to prevent somebody from, like, if somebody was able to get a PR committed, but I hadn't added it to Hasura, they wouldn't be able to call it yet. And the reason for that is that if, say, you had a bigger channel and you wanted, like, you had committers, somebody who had write access to your repo, and something went wrong, like the relationship sours, and they went and did some stuff, you can make it so that only you take a new command live, even if somebody were to put one that's like really problematic in, and they can get past your code review. It's kind of like a double verification sort of thing, so that you don't get yourself into accidental trouble. And then once it loads, it sends off a fetch for the command handler. This is the actual function URL. And then what it gets back from that handler, so it sends off the Twitch data. Like, this is the message that came from chat. This is the command, any arguments that were sent, who sent it, which channel it came from. And then that comes back as data. So we get back the name, message, description, audio, image, and duration. And that is what actually gets sent to my scenes, and my scenes then play the effect. So it's a little bit of a round robin, but it makes it way easier for me to deal with new effects and stuff than having to like hard code them in or anything like that. It's sort of a set thing. But so I want to look at why my poster isn't doing what I want. So I have a poster that can be set here. And when I get that poster, it should be creating a poster. So when you request an episode, what is happening here? Let me close this one and we'll use this one instead. So I'm going to run Netlify Dev. And what we get inside of our poster, or inside of this function, I should say, is, here we go, toast incremental, da-da-da. Okay, it's loaded all the episodes. Can you believe I've done 221 episodes of this show? I sure can't. I keep this in just to like remind me. So, okay, so now we have a local version of the site running here. And if I go to like /API/episodes, I will hit the local serverless function and get that data. But what we're interested in is the episode flow itself. So let's grab here. Okay. And we're doing episode with node CLIs. And then if I add a second piece to it, which is poster.jpg, it should send back the poster. Okay, so it does. So that's what we want. That's actually how it works. And then I'm using a rewrite. So this is actually maybe a moment of truth here. Does it work if I don't have the extra rewrite? No. Okay, so something is wrong with the way that I'm delivering this image in general. So let's reverse engineer this a bit. And this is what I think is exciting about like working with the serverless functions locally, is that we are able to just try this stuff instead of having to deploy it every time. So we've got the ability to fetch. We're using Netlify's on-demand builders, which if you're not familiar with those, they are basically a way that once you've set up a function, you can cache the output so that you don't have to run the function over and over and over again. It's powerful stuff. I use it a lot. It's like the API. The reason I'm comfortable opening my API is that if somebody spams this API, they'll just get the same response back. It's cached, so they're not like running up my functions usage or anything like that. It's just getting a cached response. But so that's what this builder thing does. And the way that works is down here, we just wrap the handler with builder, and that's all we have to do. Everything else is the same. Then we have the ability to make a request to Hasura. And this function is just a helper function that sends off a request. It uses Hasura needs an admin secret. We need the Hasura URL. We've got to send off the query and variables. And this is just a little bit of housekeeping so that I can share it between files. So I request that, pull that in. And then what we're doing here is we're getting the event, and I want the path out of the event. So the path that we get when we are using serverless functions is we get, let me just go back here. Let's request, and then let's look at here. So the path that we get is just whatever the URL is. So if I change this and say like, some other thing, then it'll still hit this function because we've got the redirect set up for like API episode and then whatever. And it'll show us what the path is. So what I'm doing then is I am, let's get into here. I'm breaking up the path on the slashes after removing the /API/episode. So if like when I hit the regular episode name, so if I take these out, let's go here. Right, and just go to poster. It hits, and what we'll see in the CLI is it does it like this. So we remove the API episode so that we end up with a slug and the poster name. And so there's the slug, there's the poster name. The poster might be false, and then we split. So once we get down here, if I log what we're getting out, get the slug and the poster, and I can run it again, and we end up with automating task with node CLIs and poster JPEG. If I go and hit it from API episode, we get the same thing. And then if I leave out the poster part, it gives me the API response and poster is false, right? So that's the setup for this function, is that we want to check, are we getting episode data or are we getting an episode poster? You can request the transcript if you want. That makes it a slower call, which is why I default to false. And then I check to see if it's the starting soon or the poster, because if you go with this one, it's like that. And then the starting soon just has different text on it. And this is what I actually show in the scenes. So if I switch over to my scenes here, once it loads, I gotta make this faster. Oh no, okay, well I gotta figure out what I did there, but the inception. But so this is like generated on the fly so that I can do those scenes. Yes, I do generate the images programmatically. I use Cloudflare, or sorry, not Cloudflare, Cloudinary to do that. And so then got the slug and the poster. And so we can see here, it says that the poster's there. So then I go and I make a query for the episode that has that slug, and I get the details that I need. So title, slug, description, who the guest is, who the host is, demo repo links, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then once we get down here, I pull out the guest, or I pull out the episode details. I pull out the guest, and then the thumbnail is, we actually pull out the guest image asset, and we're turning it into a base 64 encoded string, because the way that works is we are actually building a Cloudinary URL. So this is the part where we get into that, and this works through the fetch API, Cloudinary's fetch API. So to use this, I have my constants, my width. Sorry, I'm going to apologize because this is going to get messy, because I didn't ever think I was going to show anybody this code. So just apologies. So I set up what the default width is, and then I'm like multiplying that by different scales. And then I have an aspect ratio with this width and height of 1280 and 720. So then we build out what the URL should look like. So with this one, we're saying like the width should be 34-ish% of the total width. And we want to make that the image should fit, so no like bars or cropping. We want to set the text color to white. We want to set the gravity to northwest, and then the offset from the left to like 44-ish%, offset from the top to 32% of the height. And then we use text, and we set the text to be my font that I've uploaded to Cloudinary. We round it off to be whatever the percentage of the width divided by the total width is, times 18. And this is math that I just tinkered until this looked right. And then I set the line spacing to 0. And I use the text starting soon. So that is how I get this. This is a lot, right? This is the string of the URL that creates the text starting soon when you are looking at this. That is how this gets positioned. It's how it gets sized, and how we're determining like what the scale of it should be next to everything else. Hey, what's up, Alex? Good to see you. Thanks for the raid. And then we get to the file name. So if Ben did some guest hosting on the show. So if it's Ben as the host, then we use a different episode template card. If otherwise, we use this episode card. And I can show you what these look like. So let me get just one of these. And so we'll get this one, and let's go out here, and I'll go to here, and I think it's lwj episode.jpg. So this is the template. And actually, let me make it a PNG so you can see what the template actually looks like. So if I move this around, it won't let me like move it. But if you could see, if I could move this, you could see that like this is a hollow space. There's nothing behind this. This is just like background color for the browser. And then if I do like episode Ben Hong, it's the same template, but I swapped out Ben and like we crossed out my name and wrote Ben. So it's so that we can tell like who the host is, right? And so what we're doing is we're inserting all of this extra stuff in here. And this is the text for whether or not it's starting soon. This is the actual poster URL. So we set the width and height to be like 1280 by 720. We want it to fill that space. So if it's a little bit off, it should crop, not leave bars. We want to set the quality to auto, the format to auto, and then we fetch. So when we fetch, what we're doing is we are getting the thumbnail, which is the guest avatar, which is the one that we base 64'd up here. And the reason we base 64'd is so that we can put it in another URL without causing issues. Then we've got the width, which we want it to be like 31%-ish. And then it's square, so the height is 31%. We fill that so that it's, a square crop, put it up in the northwest, and then we offset it. And so northwest is north and west, and then we offset from the top and left by doing it like this. So we want it 46% off and around 11.5% from the top. We put in our starting soon text, and then we just do all that stuff over and over again for like, here's how we place the title, and here's how we place the guest name, and all those good things, which then leads us to this kind of image. So if it's the poster, right? So each of these automatically generated from those details, just using these kind of URL structures. So if it's the poster, we do the same thing. There's some logic in here to like move stuff around a little bit. So like if it's starting, then we use a different offset for the text. And I think we do that in a couple places. And with the starting soon text, if it's not starting, we just leave it empty. So it doesn't get included at all. Otherwise, all these details are the same. So like you'll notice the guest image, their name, and the size of this doesn't change. The only thing that changes is the top offset of that text between the two posters, right? That's all. So I'm able to just kind of do a little bit of hacky stuff here to figure this out. Now, is this easy to read? Absolutely not. Every time I have to change this, I effectively have to like rebuild the whole thing. But then what I can do is I get a response by fetching this poster URL and I turn it into an array buffer. Here's why. I want to send back the actual image. Maybe that's all I need to do is just the image.jpg. That can't be right. There's no way that's right. If it's a poster, I want to send back the image.jpg. Do I need to send a 200? Is that what's wrong? Okay, let's try a couple things here. So I'm going to see if anything changes when I do it this way. Send back a 200. All right, now can I save this? Aha, that was the problem. I was doing a 301. I still don't know why it's sending back as a dot, like a JPEG like that though. But yeah, that's a lot. So let's see here. Relevant question. What's the max URL string length? That's a fair question. Ooh, Sean, I can set the file name. Is that a header? Let's look this up. Set file name of download in header. Content disposition. Set the file name of a thing. Header, content disposition, attachment, file name. Yes. Okay, this is great. So let's do that. So we're going to go with content disposition and we'll set it to attachment And then we want to make the file name. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? It's going to be great. File name. And the file name is going to be the slug, the episode slug. Ha ha ha. This is going to be great. I'm going to do episode.slug.current.jpg. That need to be, it needs to be quoted. And that should do the thing, right? So I should be able to name this whatever it needs to be named. So let me get out here. Let's try this again. I'm gonna go to, here's my local host. Oh wait, no, I don't want to always make it a, okay, so that did what I want. Like that part is good, but I don't need to make it auto download. So can I just do no attachment? I'll just do file name. And let's try that again. Okay, so it didn't auto download. And if I go to save image as, it does it. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, so Ben, this is what we're doing is we are playing with serverless functions. So what we've done thus far is we've fixed 2 bugs on the Learn with JSON site. So this one is a like Cloudinary auto-generating function to build posters for websites. So as we go through and look at any of the episodes, if I go to episodes here, then I can go into one of the episodes. Let's look at, I don't know, let's look at this Flutterflow one, right? So then I can go to /poster.jpg, and it's gonna build out this poster, right? And then if I go to save it now, it should save as Let's Learn Flutterflow. And it does. It still does the .jpeg instead of like JPG. Is that because I didn't set it as, does it need to be like image/JPG and not JPEG? What happens if I do that? I'm gonna try it. So let's go here. Gonna reload. I'm going to save image as Let's Learn Flutterflow, save, cancel. Wait, if I just get rid of you. Okay, let's try that again. Still .jpeg like why is it doing that? I guess I don't really care, but that does seem odd, doesn't it? Like it's not gonna impact anything. It's my machine. I don't know. Well, that's always good news. It's like, oh, it's just broken. It's just how things work here. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. So yeah, I don't know why it's doing that, and it doesn't want to save as a thing. This feels like, isn't this? Which one's correct? Is one of those correct? File type image JPEG. Is it supposed to be /JPEG? Ah, look at that. Look at Stack Overflow, just helping me with stuff. You should use image/JPEG, e.g. It's the only one that's an actual MIME type. Okay, so that's good to see. So this is correct. Without the E is technically incorrect, although it probably will work anyways. But I could probably just ask Copilot. Copilot, please help. Oh my God. Set the file extension to .jpeg with a header. What are you gonna do? Oh no. Sometimes Copilot is actually magic. I was just curious if it was gonna do that for me. No, we're not gonna do that. But this is, I mean, this is cool. Like I'm excited by this because it really does add like, it just adds so much convenience, you know? So let's ship that, right? Like we did the thing. I'm gonna review my changes here just so we can walk through what they actually are. So what we did in here is we don't need the console log anymore. I don't need that in my business. Hey, speak of Chris Biscardi, how you doing? 26 months you've been putting up with me. That is it's fantastic. So this is those changes. Good. So then down here, we are sending a 200 because originally we were sending a 301, and sending a 301 is a redirect which was breaking downloads. It works in the browser, but it breaks downloads. So the 200 is saying this is the image. You don't need to redirect this, like this is the image, so we can download that properly. And then to set the file name, we are able to use this content disposition and then pass in the file name with the current episode slug. So probably could benefit from some error handling here, but I'm not going to do it because I don't want to. And honestly, this isn't used for anything critical, right? Like if it doesn't work, I can always go and kind of deal with one of these on its own. So let's do fix allow download of images, and then we can, I don't know how to like command enter that. Isn't this thing cool? So check this out. So I just committed to get from here, and then if I click this button, it'll deploy that. So that's done. I like VS Code. And then if I go out to my sites, here. Oh, got to go to Teams to get that. Then we should see the site deploying, so we can kind of watch that go. And then Netlify does have a dark mode. Check this out. So if you go here and you go to Netlify Labs, there is there are experimental features, and we're actually like, keep an eye on this tab if you're a heavy Netlify user, because we're starting to look at like giving early sneak peeks of things in here. This is pretty nice. But what this will do is it will put an appearance settings into your user settings. So this doesn't add the toggle. It just gives you the option in your settings that otherwise wouldn't be there. So when we come down here, you get your appearance settings, and then you can either use your system setting, which is what I do, or you can explicitly set it to light or dark if you like vastly prefer one over the other. But yeah, this is really nice. Oh, you know what else is cool? Actually, let's go verify that this thing worked, and then I want to show everybody something that I'm pretty excited about today. What? Yeah, toast. What didn't you like? Non-zero exit code, failed reason, connection reset. So that just seems like something I want to. Let's just retry that. We'll just clear the cache and do it again. Notepad++ and code blocks. I'm not familiar with code blocks. That's one I haven't tried. So yeah. But this is like, I guess this is the part that I get excited about and why I wanted to show this kind of serverless local debugging process. But you know what's even cooler is like, if you're going from scratch, this is a new feature. So let me actually make sure I have the latest version of the Netlify CLI. And then I'm going to show you something that just shipped that I'm really excited about. And while we're waiting for that to download, I'm going to show you something else that just shipped that I'm really excited about. So the Jamstack Conf website went live today, if you haven't tried it, or if you haven't checked it out. So Jamstack Conf is live, and I'm like, the team they're just so good. Like our marketing team does such a good job with stuff. We've got this really like cool website, some like retro elements. It's very kind of how it started, how it's going. I mean, I'm always a fan of anything that features me as a general thing. But here's what I'm really excited about is this time, if you register, you can personalize your badge. So I find this so much fun. Now I already have a ticket number, so I've already done this, and I have it over here somewhere. Where did it go? It's here. So check this out. I have a badge that I've personalized, and you can then personalize your badge. And if you like share this on Twitter, which I guess I can just do now, like you registered for Jamstack Conf? You can get a, let's see, sign up for free today and get your Personalize conference badge. We're doing a nostalgia theme, and I'm like, this part I know is like, this part is fun. You get to upload like a photo of you as a kid, and like look at my just so much rage and anger. And this, you could charitably call this a shadow, but what this actually was a chin strap goatee. And then I bleached all of my hair and like spiked it up. So there's a reason that I'm bald today, and it's because I did dumb stuff like this. Just absolutely abused my hair for my entire childhood, and it all, it just packed up and left. But look, I'm wearing a, like, this is that material that when it rubs against itself goes like, and then it's got all these pockets and stuff on it. And there's my spiked leather bracelet. I have a pinky ring on, everyone. That is a pinky ring. And then this is like a stretch ribbed, like, I don't even know what this thing was. It was made out of like spandex or something. And you can't see what I was wearing below this, but I had like Jinko jeans on. There are a lot of problems, like so many issues with my fashion choices as a kid, because I couldn't pick a fashion. Like, I wasn't a metal kid. I wasn't a raver kid. I wasn't a hip hop kid. I just like mashed it all together in a very jarring way that I'm not super proud of. But why don't we get that out into the world? And this is the part that I think is really cool, is it includes your personalized badge as the preview image. Like, I think this is cool. I love these types of projects. This is something that Phil Hawksworth worked really hard on with Zach Leatherman and Justin Schwan from our design team. And like, they were able to do this in a way that it's really fun. It's really fast. It's like kind of pleasant to use. So I would highly recommend, like, first of all, you should go to the conference. It's going to be great. But even if you're not planning on going to the conference, go play with this badge generator, because it's just fun, right? Like, I love it. Oh my goodness. Yeah. When the 90s is considered a long time ago. I saw something posted yesterday where somebody was saying that it's the same distance in time right now between today and 1980 as it is between 1980 and 1939. Woof. That one hurt me a little bit. So, anyways, this is fun. You should go and do this. The late 1900s. Yes. Ouch. Oh my goodness. All right. So now we have our poster.jpg, so we can get that. And so this is the deployed function. So what should happen now is if I save this image, it's saved as right to left RTL support. I save. Good. And now I have that JPEG. So we're in solid shape here. Like, this is great. Awesome. And we were able to do that all locally. Like, I didn't have to deploy it and check it. I was able to get it all working locally. But now check this out. This is even more fun. So if you want to use TypeScript in Netlify, we have this whole thing for functions where you can't, whoa, what? Hold on a second. What version am I using here? 6.7.1. That should work. Let's npm install g netlify CLI latest. I think 6.7.1 is the most recent. I'm worried that was my version of Node doing something weird, like 14.15. So I just switched to Node 16. I mess with my Node environment so much that a lot of times when it's like an issue like that, I just worry that I did something silly. So let's look at Netlify help. Okay, so that's doing what I want. And then we have Netlify functions help. And now we can like build functions or create functions. And that's what I wanted to look at, is let's functions create. So Netlify functions create. And I don't know, I learned a little bit of TypeScript earlier. Let's see if I can do TypeScript. So I'm going to do TypeScript. We'll get a hello world function. And like there's a lot of stuff that we could do, but I'm just going to, boom, there we go. And we'll call this one, yeah, we'll keep hello world. And so it found my functions folder and it created hello world.ts. And so if I come out here and I look, I've got hello world.ts. And so there's a couple things that I think are interesting here. The big one is this is like TypeScript. And note that I don't have like, I don't have a TS config or anything like that. There's no settings for it. So I'm not compiling my TypeScript, but if I go and run this with Netlify Dev, then I will be able to, out here, once it gets done, here we go. Come on, you can do it. It's slow because I have to make like 15 calls to my API to not rate limit it because I'm pulling down transcripts and stuff to build the individual pages. So I think each of those calls takes a little bit of time and some of them are dependent on others. So there's a kind of a stacking problem of calls. So then, okay, we go out here. So now if I go to like Netlify functions, hello world, uh-oh. Hello world is treated as an ES module file. Yeah, that's, you know what I did? I should have done this in an empty file. This one's got a bunch of cruft in it. So how about we start in a clean project instead, and we'll make a new directory called like serverless local dev, and I'm going to move into it. And so the problem that's happening is that I have like other functions in here that are using the CJS style. So it's like exports.handler. And in order for this to work, because this is the EJS or the ESM, I mean, this is reliant on using ES build, which I can't do on that project without doing some refactoring. So this is just me needing to get into a new project. So let's get init here. And then I'm going to run that that same Netlify functions create. Are you going to make me do this? Okay, so let's do Netlify init. And yeah, we'll create deploy site manually, right? So I'm going to go on to here and we'll call this like, what did I call this? Serverless local dev. Okay, and now that I'm in it, now I should be able to run that Netlify functions create. We'll put it in Netlify functions. Yep, I'm going to use TypeScript. Good. Like I said, this is a brand new feature, so we haven't really like tried it a bunch. So it also might just be that we need some additional documentation. So let's choose the hello world. We'll use that again. Now I'm going to run Netlify Dev. There it is. Okay. So, and the reason that worked, if I open this up, is that because this is a clean install, the functions are able to run. Did it like put this package JSON in here? Oh, it did. That's interesting. So it installed all the stuff that it needed for this to work. That's cool. I didn't know that it would do that. So now we have all of these things that we need for this to actually work. And I'm curious if I delete this, and what if I do like a npm init yes. Now I'm just curious how this all is going to play out. So bear with me while I try to figure these things out. And I'm going to create like, let's create a netlify.toml, and let's also touch like an index.html. And so in my index.html, what I want to do is just create like a simple website. So we'll say like serverless is neat, right? And then out here, we'll do an h1, Copilot knew my heart. And in here, what I want to do is I want to set functions and get out of here. Node bundler to ESBuild. And this should use ESBuild instead of the more traditional like Webpack Babel approach. And that means that our serverless functions can be put wherever we want. So I'm also just going to specify where the functions directory is. So we'll say functions is going to be Netlify functions, right? And then if I come in here, I'm going to create a new one. So we'll say Netlify functions create. Let's see. Playwright Lambda package. That's too bad. Yeah, that should definitely be open an issue for that eco, because the ESBuild stuff is very new. And so what we're trying to figure out is how to like, so with Babel, you're like taking everything and you're pulling it in and you're doing a lot of transpilation and rewrites and stuff. And with ESBuild, it's more of like these modules just depend on each other. And so resolution and that kind of stuff is tricky, especially when you're going across common JS. So that is definitely something that is a work in progress. So as you hit edge cases, let us know, because that's how this ESBuild world is going to progress. And yeah, I think it's, this is where we want to be. Like we want to be on the ESBuild train because it's just so much faster. And we want to be, okay. So check out what just happened here. So because I had a package JSON already, it installed the function stuff in the top level package JSON. And so my hello world over here didn't need all of that stuff. And that's what I prefer. I would prefer that everything is there. Is there a repo? Yes, it would be Netlify. Let's see, github.com, Netlify. Is it CLI? I should probably do this in one that I'm not logged in. Do we have an ESBuild? I think we have a port of ESBuild. So this might be a good place to start it. And if that doesn't work, you could put it in the Netlify CLI, or I think our build bot is this one open? This one's open. So you could also put it here as like ESBuild doesn't work. Honestly, open it anywhere and the team will like move it as necessary. But yeah, if you're hitting those issues, definitely like file an issue. If you have ideas on what's wrong, any kind of reproduction is always super helpful so that they can just run it and figure out kind of what's getting misplaced. Because typically what we've noticed with the ESBuild stuff is that due to the way that common JS modules get written with a lot of like dynamic requires and things like that, we'll see that the resolution isn't catching some edge case of dynamic requires, and so it's not pulling in a file. And then that file that's not getting pulled in is missing and causes the ESBuild result to crash. So typically what we're looking at is trying to find all the different edge cases for ways that people in the Node ecosystem dynamically required files or otherwise resolved where a file should be located so that we can figure out how to back that out. But we're getting there. It's getting better every day. So now that we've got this hello world, Netlify Dev, we can run this. Here we are. We've got our hello stranger. And then I think the way that this one is set is we can get the name in there. So if I set a name on this of name equals Jason, right? So this is, I mean, like I love the simplicity of this because now we're up and running. And like, remember, I'm not doing there's no step that I'm doing here to like build this. I'm just like running it locally as TypeScript. I didn't have to set up TypeScript. I set this ESBuild bundler, but that's actually not for the TypeScript stuff. That's so that I can do something like, we'll call this one boop. And I want to export function, we'll call it async function handler. And in this async function, I'm going to return status code of 200 and the body of boop. Right? So now I have this function called boop that I've used, and notice this is ESM, which a lot of serverless function stuff that I've written in the past has been using CommonJS, which is the exports dot handler. But because I set it to ESBuild, I can go to boop and we get this boop back. So now I'm using ESM for everything. Like I would write my site, my front end code in ESM. I'm writing my serverless functions in ESM, and there will be some bumps as we get through this kind of ESBuild transition where all the CommonJS code is moving over. But once we get through that, which will be, it's powerful. It gets really powerful. For function serving, yes, there is a built file, and if you want to see it, you can go kind of look at how that works. But this one, for example, is just pulling in the source, and the hello world, I think, they get compiled down. Not 100% sure what I think this is just the ESBuild artifact, right? Is what comes out. And the thing that I like about this is, like, look how much smaller this is than a typical Webpack artifact. It's great. It makes me really happy. And then it just does some little bits to make like CommonJS work, and it's good. Like it's much smaller, it's much faster, and you'll see that to build this site with the functions that are there is like milliseconds, not seconds. Whereas with a Babel Webpack process for serverless functions, it might take 5-10 seconds to bundle a bunch of functions. With ESBuild, it takes like 300 milliseconds or something like that. It's just wild how fast it happens. It's not JavaScript anymore technically. Yeah, this is JavaScript. This one is JavaScript. There's no special syntax or anything at all. It's just using ES modules, which is the spec, and then ESBuild will just kind of bundle that down to make it runnable. This is a really powerful thing. And if you want to write TypeScript, which you can, then this Netlify functions package includes types so that you can write TypeScript. And this is actually really nice. So check this out. If I want to get like event dot, here's all my available pieces. So I get my autocomplete here, and I can go to, let's say, what's one that's actually interesting? Let's go to the headers and see what it gives me. That gives me an array, but it's smart enough to know that it is an array. So it'll do like the for each, and I think that's actually Copilot doing stuff, isn't it? That's Copilot. Thanks, Copilot. But what I love about this is that it is smart enough to like pull these things out. So if I get the context here, which is a special Netlify thing that gets attached, then you can also see like there's the client context, there's the function name, the version, whether or not you're using Netlify identity. If you're doing logging stuff or you need to check what your memory limit is, there's all sorts of cool stuff here that you can do that I think is really powerful stuff. So I find this to be just kind of a nice flow. If you know TypeScript, if you want to use TypeScript, getting that autocomplete and that kind of type ahead, especially if you try to use something that's not set. Like if I was down here and I typo and I do like const, body equals event dot void, it first of all autocompletes for me, but then it like shows me that it doesn't exist, right? But if I get it right, it's a string, right? I know that it's a string, so I can actually deal with that. So it's pretty handy to be able to do that TypeScript style dev. And again, this all runs locally. So as we're working, if I want to make more changes, I can say like, I make this say corgis, I go out to my browser and I want to make a change. So I can say hello world, I leave it blank and it says hello corgis. All right, let's make another change. We can say corgi friends. And as soon as I get out here, refresh. And so this experience of being able to debug is just so nice, right? And yeah, Jacob, what you're saying is the functions themselves are being run through AWS Lambda, and like what we're looking to do is send the lightest weight possible runtime. So like Lambda has different layers and requirements, and it all gets a little esoteric. So I won't try to speak to exactly what our team is doing, but the goal is effectively make it as fast as possible to bundle and deliver the functions that you're writing, and to kind of reduce any incidental overhead of what that bundling process would be. So like parse time gets down into the microseconds, but we're looking to just kind of make this stuff as non-painful as possible for you by abstracting away all the stuff that you don't need to care about. Like all the stuff that, one of the things that I think that makes serverless daunting is that there's this big gap between 0 and 1. Like if you are at 0 and you hear of serverless functions, somebody's like, yeah, just write the code you need. And you go, great, I want that. What do I do? And then you Google it and you find out that you don't just get to write a serverless function. You actually have to figure out how to get a serverless function deployed, and then what the gateway is, and then how to line up, like how do you proxy requests from your domain to the gateway so that they get to the function, and then you've got to do all this stuff around. Like there's a lot that has to go into it. And that's what I think it kept me from doing serverless for a long time. I was like, well, that's just as complicated as standing up a server, and at least I get how a server works. I can deploy a Docker container on DigitalOcean or whatever. That's easy for me. When I learned about the way that Netlify does it, and the way that other companies are starting to kind of mimic that approach of, you have a folder and you put functions into that folder, and then that results in your code being deployed and it just works. That was when serverless functions started to make sense for me. That was when I was like, oh, okay, this is better, right? Because now for me to get this thing up on the internet, I just have to write this code. And if we look at like my website, let me delete that part because we didn't use that. But if I look at let's look at a simpler one. So let's look at my schedule. When you look at my schedule, we use a builder. We want to make a request to Hasura. And so I pull in what the event is to see if you want to limit it to like the next 10 episodes or something like that. Then I just figure out what the current date is. So we'll show any episode that started like 2 hours before this moment. And we make this request. Okay, all good. What we get back from this request, we just send off a status code of 200, which is HTTP okay. That means that it worked. That's what you get when you request most pages. We send off some headers to allow cores to work. So I say, you can get, any origin can request this API. It only allows the GET request, so you can't post or put or delete to this. It allows only the content type header, and it sends back JSON. And then I just send back whatever comes back from that GraphQL request, and wrap it in this builder so that it caches after I use it. And that's it. That's the whole app, right? And in doing that, I'm able to get an API up. So now I have an API that's available that lets you pick up my episodes. And if I look at like a formatted version of this, let's go here. I look at schedule and we can see the preview. And like you can see in this preview, I didn't have to do very much. I just made a request to my API, and now I've got this, like each episode is set up and it's got all the details that I want. And this is just kind of a pass through of the way that Hasura, I think this comes out of Sanity. So I have like Sanity plugged into Hasura as a third-party source. But this is allowing me to kind of stand up an API really, really quickly. And all I had to do to write that code was know how to write this query to get the data that I wanted, and then send back these responses. And like this, that's a whole API. Now, that is what you do on Express or a Node API or a Ruby or PHP or whatever. But there's also that boilerplate part of like, okay, so now I have this, but I also have to set up like the routing. I have to set up the, the various like stand up and the start command, and what do we do if it goes down, and how do we actually scale this thing? We got to get it in a container. We got to get that container up on a service. All that work becomes, it's like chores. It's the yak shaving that allows you to write this little bit of code. And so what I like about serverless functions is that if all I need is this little bit of code, who cares? Just ship it. Like, I don't need to, I don't care at all. I just want to ship it. So yeah, American 2050, forget we don't have to send an options request first. If I was doing an options, or if I was going to do a post, I do have an example of that somewhere. Where would I find that? Let's go to my account and let's see how good GitHub's search feature is. I'm going to search for options in this user, and then we're going to look at code, and let's see. Oh, I've said options a lot of times. Can I make it like case sensitive? No, that's not going to work, is it? Nah, it's not going to work. Anyways, you can just do a check that's like, if the request type is options, then return the headers. Maybe we can find one of these. That's a lie. I know it's there. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so let's look at this one. Yeah, so if this is how you would do it for a post, is if you need to be able to post, you can just check if the method is options, and you can just return the right headers and okay. And the options request will succeed, and then the post request will just skip over that and do whatever it needs to do. But yeah, this is dope. Okay, so how's everybody feeling? We managed to fill up a whole episode, and we fixed 2 bugs on the Learn with Jason site. Like, man, I'm feeling pretty solid about that. That's what a good time. Let me drop this in the chat for anybody who wants to check out how that sort of thing works. I think is this what we built together, Eco? It is. Yeah, that's Eco. So let's, yeah, this is fun. I think at this point, maybe what we should do is look at some more resources. So what if you want to learn more? There is a great course on Explorers that is kind of up and running with serverless functions. This is from Ben. Ben has hosted the show before. He is an excellent teacher, and he's a lot of fun. This is a whole, like, it's a free course. You know, you don't even have to sign up to watch it. You can just go watch this, and it will walk you all the way through getting serverless functions, like get a project initialized, write that serverless function, get it deployed, all those good things. And you know, it's good stuff. And then I also think there's what else are good resources for serverless? I think you know, probably the biggest one is this Netlify Dev. This is I know that I work for Netlify, but I like legit, this has made a huge difference for me in like being able to work locally, because it just runs a CLI locally. It manages your environment variables, and it'll create functions for you, and it's just got a bunch of like convenient stuff. You can set up your Netlify Dev is a subset of the Netlify CLI, but I find that I use the Netlify CLI and the GitHub CLI just every day for you know, working on the Learn with Jason site, working on my personal site. Whenever I'm standing up a quick project, I use the GitHub CLI to initialize a repo and get everything set up that way. Then I use the Netlify CLI to set up the project and do local development and then deploy it. And that workflow, it probably saves me 15 minutes a project, but especially in my role where I'm doing 2 usually new projects every week, it adds up. I spend so much time actually working on my projects instead of setting up boilerplate and getting things deployed with the help of workflows and tools like this. So I think it's a really, really nice setup. Oh yeah, functions.netlify.com is a good one. And then, CSS tricks. Let's actually, hold on, let me actually share this link. Functions.netlify.com is a really good one. It's got a bunch of examples, and then CSS Tricks has a serverless site that I can't remember where it is, so let's Google it. Here it is, serverless.csstricks.com. This is I mean, if you followed Chris Coyer, he is an excellent teacher, and he has a good mind for kind of breaking stuff down. So this is a really wonderful site if you're not 100% convinced on why this is useful. This is a good kind of argument for why it's useful. And there's so many other use cases for it too. Like we used it today to set up an API endpoint and to do the image, right? And so those are two, like, I think pretty compelling use cases. Another cool use case is, to the best of my knowledge, I need to, Phil is going to write an article on how this thing works, but the conference here, I'm pretty sure this badge, so this is using Cloudinary because we just use Cloudinary for everything because it saves us a ton of work. But I'm pretty sure that this is all generated with serverless functions as well. So I think this is an on-demand builder so that this page is cached and it's rendered by this. So we generate this image, and then we generate this text with your name, and then create a URL for it. So this, I think, is saved in Supabase, I think is what we're using in the back end. And you get a unique shareable URL. So, again, go play with this. This is fun. This is another interesting application that you can build with serverless functions, because we use serverless to write to the database so that we can keep those credentials secure. So there's a lot of really fun things that you can do. It's really powerful. There's a lot of high potential there that you can play with. And the tools out there are getting better all the time. Like you've got I see AJC Web Dev is in here. Like, Redwood's got a lot of cool stuff, and that works with serverless. You've got serverless is getting built into Gatsby and Next and Nuxt and a whole bunch of platforms. Like 11D has a serverless mode now where you can actually render pages one at a time on demand. I think Nuxt is doing the same thing. Like this is, I feel like if you're looking at how to really level up as a front end dev, this is where I think it's worth looking, because it extends your capabilities without requiring you to become an expert in a whole different part of the stack. And it allows you to do a huge amount of additional tasks and much more powerful things that would typically feel like you need to get a server and learn all the opsy things that a server entails. You just get to write a little bit of JavaScript and it works. So that, I think, is a good reason to dig into this and start playing and see what you can learn. See, Ben is saying there was a good stream on 11D with Zach. Did you post that somewhere, Ben? That could be a fun one to share as a resource. Drop a link if you can. While you're doing that, I am going to do a quick shout out to our captioner. So we've had Rachel here with us all day from White Coat Captioning. Thank you so much, Rachel. And she is here through the generous support of our sponsors, which are Netlify, Fauna, Hasura, and Auth0, all of whom are kicking in to make this show more accessible to more people, which I very much appreciate. And let's get this link to Ben stuff up here. So here's another first look at 11D serverless. This is like, okay, this is definitely me being, I'm going to say that this is like 10% me being a shill for Netlify and 90% me being legit excited about this as like something happening in the ecosystem. I am reasonably convinced that the future of the way Jamstack, or not just the Jamstack, the future of the way frameworks are going to work, I think is going to be built around something like this. Because I don't think that pure static rendering gets the job done. I don't think that throwing out all the benefits of static rendering and just going full server is worth it. It's too expensive. It's too hard to scale. There's too many foot guns. So this approach of a mostly static, like default to static, and then have an escape hatch for a server rendered page or set of pages, which is what 11D is doing here. That to me is the future of this path. I think that's where we're headed. I think we're going to see, the tools like SvelteKit and Astro, and like there's a really, really cool approach here where we can get rid of most of the extra code. We can get rid of the servers. We can get rid of the cruft, and we can put ourselves in a position where we only render what we have to, and we go as far as we need to. On a given page, I might need to re-render that every single time somebody refreshes the page. Great, for that page, that makes sense. But you shouldn't have to re-render every page on your site because one page needs to be dynamic. And that's what I don't like about this push back toward all server-side rendering for everything. It feels so wasteful, and it's like it makes a headache. I've watched so many teams take their whole site down over the weekend because they tried to set up clever caching for all the pages that didn't need to be dynamic, but they made them dynamic because they needed dynamic for that one section. Just don't do that. Do static for everything. Opt into dynamic when it needs to be dynamic. And an approach like this with serverless as a way of delivering those few pages that need to be dynamic, it's a good approach. I have a lot of I'm very optimistic about the potential there. So, put me down as I'm not usually a futurist because usually I'm just excited about what's happening right now. But this one, I feel like there's stuff coming. Anyways, how about I stop standing on my soapbox and instead let's maybe tear this one down. Yeah, call this thing cooked and done. So I hope everybody's excited about this. I hope you're all excited to go out and play with some serverless functions and see what is possible. Make sure you go and check out the schedule. We've got some really, really exciting stuff coming up. We're going to do MongoDB Atlas. This is like databases that are really compatible with serverless. This is going to be fun. We're looking at Take Shape, which is a way to pull in, one of the complaints you hear about the Jamstack is that the data spreads out. You've got a different service for everything, and then you have to manage all the glue code to hold those services together. Take Shape is trying to make that easier. There's an approach here that allows you to basically plug in your third-party services into one global API. This is similar to like OneGraph also does this, and a few other services are kind of offering the same thing. We've got Brandon Roberts coming on to talk about reactive state management in Angular using a tool that he maintains called NGRX. I have no idea how reactive state management really works in general. I think I'm really excited to learn about that one. We're going to learn about StepZen. We're going to learn about this Battlesnake one. I still don't know what Battlesnake is, so I'm so excited to just flail through that. It's going to be great. We're going to do some machine learning stuff. We're going to build a game with Twilio Quest. CSS Grid stuff is coming up. We're going to do, this is just, look at this list. Look at all these amazing people. We've got Marie Poulin is going to come on. We're going to talk about Notion. So this is like data, your knowledge management in Notion. We're going to look at Next.js. We're going to look at observability, personalization. There's just good things. So many good things coming and happening. So definitely go and get into this schedule. You can click this button up at the top, add it to Google Calendar, and it will become yours. You will be able to see episodes when they're happening. It's not obtrusive. You don't have to put in your email or anything. It just shows up. Is that a stream scheduled for February? Sure is. That's because Stephanie just had a baby, and so she wanted to wait until she was well out of the maternity leave before she scheduled anything. So congrats to her, and I'm super excited for her to come back and teach us some stuff. Congrats, Stephanie. That's gonna be great. So that I think that's a good stopping point, y'all. Who should we go raid today? Does anybody got a preference for who we go and raid? Let's see who's live. See, Brent is live. Anybody else live? Manny Moki? I've never seen Manny Moki. Are they live now? Let's go do it. This channel is intended for mature audiences. Is that just because they swear, or what am I getting into here? I don't know. Ben, I don't think Ben's never steered me wrong, so we're doing it. All right, let's go see Manny Moki. Bye.